This isn't just another video on sales. This is a masterclass. The only video you need to watch if you're serious about mastering the psychology of selling, whether you're brand new or looking to finally break through that plateau. But here's the deal. This is not a passive video. If you just sit and listen casually while checking Instagram or replying to messages, you're going to miss the transformation this can offer. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to give you a complete system that can change the way you think, sell, and earn, but only if you engage with it like your future depends on it. So before you dive in, eliminate all distractions, close every tab, silence your phone, be fully present. Grab a real notebook and a pen, not your phone, not your laptop. Writing by hand activates a part of your brain that typing never will. This is how you truly internalize the lessons. And anytime you hear something that hits hard, something that challenges the way you think, pause the video and write it down. Let your brain process it. Don't just watch, study. Now, here's the important part. At the end of this video, I'll give you a link in the description that contains a set of exercises. These are not optional. These are designed to help you apply everything you've just learned. Because watching is one thing, but doing is where the real growth happens. If you skip them, this will just be another motivational video you forget in 48 hours. But if you actually complete those exercises, this video will permanently shift the way you approach sales and your future. So if you're ready, let's get started. This is your moment. Treat it like one.
Have you ever felt it? That feeling when you have to pick up the phone to make a cold call and it suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds? Or that knot in your stomach when you walk into a prospect's office, feeling like an imposter who's about to be found out? If you have, you're not alone. Every single great salesperson on the planet has been there. And today, we're going to dive into the secret of how they broke free. This isn't about some slick new closing line. This is about the battlefield inside your own mind. Let me tell you a story about two salespeople. We'll call them Alex and Sarah. Alex is the classic hard worker. He's the first one in the office and the last to leave. He makes more calls than anyone, drinks gallons of coffee, and lives by the motto that selling is a numbers game. He throws everything he has at the wall, hoping something will stick. But at the end of the month, his results are average. He's exhausted, frustrated, and barely making ends meet. He's starting to think, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Then there's Sarah. Sarah rolls in around 9. She takes her time, chats with a prospect over a coffee, and by lunch, she's already closed more business than Alex will all week. She works half the hours but makes 10 times the income. She's relaxed, confident, and seems to be genuinely enjoying herself. What's the difference? Is Sarah just a natural-born salesperson? Is she lucky? Alex finally gets the courage to ask her, Sarah, what's your secret? I'm working myself to the bone, and you're crushing it without even breaking a sweat. Sarah smiles and tells him the first secret, the one that changes everything. She calls it the 80-20 rule. She explains, Alex, in our company, the top 20% of us make 80% of the money. The bottom 80% are all fighting over the scraps. The first thing I did was decide with every fiber of my being that I was going to be in that top 20%. It's not a wish, it's a decision. Alex is stunned. He'd never thought of it that way. But then Sarah reveals the real secret. The difference between me and the struggling salesperson I used to be isn't what I do on the outside. It's what I changed on the inside. It's all about the inner game of selling. Sarah explains that every salesperson has a self-concept. Think of it like the operating system on your computer. It's the master program running in the background that determines everything you do, think, and feel. Your operating system might be programmed to believe, I'm not good at prospecting, or I'm scared of closing. If that's the program, you will always find a way to avoid those things. But the most powerful part of this inner program is your financial thermostat. We all have one. Let's say Alex's thermostat is set to $40,000 a year. If he has a great month and is on track to make $50,000, he'll unconsciously sabotage himself. He'll slack off, get sick, or find excuses to stop working because it's getting too hot. If he has a bad year and is on track for only $30,000, he'll panic and scramble to get back to his $40,000 comfort zone. He's trapped. Sarah's secret? She consciously decided to turn her thermostat up. She didn't hope for more income. She changed her self-concept to expect it. But how? Alex asks. I'm terrified of rejection. Every no feels like a personal attack. This is where you face the two giant dragons of selling, the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. These two fears are the brakes on your career. They're the reason salespeople spend 90% of their day doing busy work instead of actually talking to customers. So how do you slay these dragons? You don't fight them with force. You dissolve them with a powerful new mindset. First, you build your self-esteem. Sarah tells Alex that your income will never, ever outgrow your self-esteem. The more you genuinely like and respect yourself, the less the opinion of others can hurt you. She gives him a simple, almost silly-sounding tool. Every single morning and before every call, she tells him to look in the mirror and say, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. It sounds crazy, but it works. It releases endorphins, builds new neural pathways, and begins to rewrite that core operating system. Second, you have to understand that rejection is not personal. When a prospect says no, they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to your offer at that moment for 1,000 reasons that have nothing to do with you. Sarah gives him a new motto. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. This simple phrase is liberating. It detaches your self-worth from the outcome of any single call. So Alex goes back to work, but this time he's not just working on his calls. He's working on his mind. He starts his day with, I like myself. He visualizes himself as a top performer like Sarah. When he gets a no, he takes a breath and says, so what? Next. And a funny thing starts to happen. The phone doesn't feel so heavy anymore. He starts to sound more confident, more enthusiastic. Prospects can feel it. They start to see him not as a pushy salesperson, but as a confident consultant who believes in what he's selling. He stops seeing prospects as adversaries and starts building genuine friendships. Because the final piece of the inner game is the friendship factor. People buy from people they like and trust, and you can't get others to like you until you first like yourself. Alex didn't change his product. He didn't change his price. He changed his inner game. And in doing so, he left the bottom 80% behind and walked right into the top 20%. Your sales career is a reflection of your inner world. Your income is a reflection of your self-concept, and your success is determined not by the absence of fear, but by your ability to feel it and act anyway, armed with unshakable self-esteem. So here's my challenge to you today. Don't just watch this video. Do something. Grab a notebook and write, I am in the top 20% of my field 10 times. Start your day tomorrow by looking in the mirror and saying, I like myself. Because the inner game is the only game that truly matters. Master it, and the outer results will take care of themselves. Have you ever had a day, or maybe a week, where you felt incredibly busy, constantly moving, but at the end of it all, you look back and realize you haven't actually gotten any closer to where you want to be? You're just spinning your wheels. Let's check back in with our friend Alex. After his chat with Sarah, he started working on his inner game. He's feeling more confident, less afraid of rejection, but something is still missing. He's working hard, full of energy, but his direction feels random. He's what Brian Tracy calls a Columbus salesperson. He sets off in the morning not knowing where he's going, arrives at a prospect's office not sure what he's doing, and gets home at night not knowing where he's been. He's sailing a powerful ship in the middle of the ocean with no map and no destination. He goes back to Sarah. I'm doing what you said, he explains. I feel better, but my results are still unpredictable. I'm just drifting.
Sarah smiles, understanding completely. She pulls out a pen and a blank sheet of paper. Alex, your hard work and positive attitude are the engine, but right now you have no steering wheel and no map. It's time to give your journey a destination. It's time to set a goal. Alex groans. Goals? You mean like, I want to make more money? No, Sarah says firmly, that's not a goal. That's a wish. A goal has power. A goal is the blueprint for your future. And then she lays out the single most powerful 7-step formula in selling. Step 1, decide exactly what you want. Don't say more money. Be specific. How much do you want to earn in the next 12 months? Down to the dollar. Alex thinks for a moment and writes down a number that both scares and excites him. Step 2, you have to write it down. A goal that isn't written down is just a fantasy. It has no energy. It's like smoke. The moment you write it down, you make it real. Step 3, set a deadline. Your mind loves a deadline. It creates a gentle, positive pressure that forces it to start working on the problem. Step 4, make a list of everything you can possibly think of that you'll have to do to achieve that goal. Every single step, big or small. Don't edit, just write. Step 5, organize that list into a plan. What needs to happen first? What comes second? What's most important? You've just turned a wish into a step-by-step recipe for success. Step 6, take action immediately. Do something, anything on your list right now. This sends a signal to your subconscious mind. And finally, step 7, do something every single day that moves you toward your goal. Even one small action. This builds unstoppable momentum. Alex looks at the 7 steps. It seems so simple, but then she asks him the question that changes everything. Alex, why do you want that income? What will you do with it? He stammers, well, pay bills, live better. Not good enough, Sarah interrupts. Your why is the fuel for your engine. If your why is weak, you'll quit at the first sign of trouble. She tells him about the 100 goals exercise, to sit down and write a list of 100 things he wants to be, do, or have. That night, Alex tries it. The first 10 are easy. Then it gets harder. But he keeps going. A vacation for his parents, a new car, taking his family to Disney World, paying off all his debt, learning to play the guitar. The longer the list gets, the more emotional he becomes. The number on his goal sheet is no longer just a number. It's a feeling. It's a future. It's his reason. The next morning, Alex is a different person.
He's no longer Columbus, drifting aimlessly. He is the captain of his own ship, and he has a map to the treasure. He breaks his yearly income goal down. He knows how much he needs to sell each month, each week, and even each day. He knows that to hit his daily sales number, he has to make 10 prospecting calls before noon. That becomes his mission. The activity is now the goal. And a strange magic begins to work. By programming his mind with a clear, written, emotional goal, his subconscious kicks in. He starts noticing opportunities he missed before. The right words seem to pop into his head during a presentation. He's not just working hard anymore, he's working with purpose. That's the secret. Goals are the guidance system for your success. They turn vague hopes into concrete plans and ignite the massive power of your subconscious mind to help you get there. So let me ask you the same question Sarah asked Alex. What do you really want? And more importantly, why? Grab a piece of paper, write down 10 goals you want to achieve in the next year. Circle the one that would have the greatest impact on your life, and then take the first step. You've had this happen. You deliver a flawless presentation. You know your product inside and out. You answer every question with facts and figures. The prospect seems impressed, nodding along. And then, at the very end, they hit you with the 5 words that break every salesperson's heart. Let me think about it. And just like that, they vanish. They never call back. The deal dies in a quiet, frustrating silence. This is exactly where we find our friend Alex. He's mastered his inner game, he's set clear, powerful goals, he's working with purpose, but he's still losing sales that feel like they should be slam dunks.
Confused, he goes back to Sarah. I don't get it, he says. I'm explaining our product perfectly. I'm showing them all the features, the specs, how advanced our technology is. They seem to understand, but they just won't pull the trigger. Sarah listens patiently, and then she asks him a simple question. Alex, are you selling the drill or the hole? Alex looks at her puzzled. Amateurs sell the drill. They talk about the powerful motor, the lightweight design, the long-lasting battery. Professionals sell the hole. They talk about the beautiful picture frame you'll hang, the joy you'll feel seeing your family photo on the wall. You're selling what the product is. You need to be selling what the product does. She tells him that every prospect in every meeting is silently listening to one radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? They don't care about your product's features. They care about the improvement it brings to their life. And that improvement is almost always emotional. Here's the biggest secret in all of selling, Alex, she says. People buy on emotion and they justify with logic. They don't buy a new car because of the horsepower and torque specifications. They buy it because of the feeling of freedom, status, or security it gives them. The logic just comes later to back up the feeling. To show him what she meant, she told him a story. A real estate agent is showing a house to a couple, Harry and his wife. The house isn't perfect, it needs work, but as they pull up, the wife looks past the house, into the backyard, and her eyes light up. "Oh, Harry, look," she exclaims, "a flowering cherry tree. I had one in my yard when I was a little girl. I've always dreamed of having one again." The salesperson files that away. That's the emotional hot button. They go inside. Harry, the logical one, starts pointing out the flaws. "This carpet is shot," he says. The agent replies, "Yes, that's true, but from right here, you can see that beautiful view of the flowering cherry tree." They go into the kitchen. "This kitchen is tiny," Harry complains. "Yes, but imagine preparing dinner while looking out the window at your beautiful flowering cherry tree." They go upstairs. "The bedrooms need to be repainted." Harry is relentless. "Yes," the agent agrees, "but notice the incredible view of the flowering cherry tree you get from the master bedroom." By the end of the tour, Harry has a long list of logical problems. But his wife, she can't see the problems. All she can see, all she can feel, is the joy of that cherry tree. And because the emotion is strong enough, the sale is made. Sarah looks at Alex. Every product, every service has a flowering cherry tree. It's the one key emotional benefit that your customer desires above all else. Your job isn't to list every feature of the house. Your job is to find that cherry tree and connect everything back to it. But how do I find it? You ask and you listen. And here's a secret weapon. Call your last 10 customers, the ones who are happy, and ask them this one question. "I know there were other options, but could you tell me the real reason you decided to buy from me?" I guarantee 8 out of 10 will give you the exact same answer. That's your flowering cherry tree. That's the hot button you need to press with every new prospect. And with that, Alex finally understood. He had been so focused on selling the drill, the features, the facts, the logic, that he'd forgotten what the customer was really buying. The whole, the feeling, the improvement, the flowering cherry tree. That's the essence of why people buy. It's not about you, and it's not about your product. It's about the emotional transformation your customer is seeking. Your job is to find it, understand it, and show them how what you're selling is the fastest, easiest way to get it. In a world full of noise, how do you get noticed? When every one of your competitors is selling a similar product at a similar price to the same people, how do you break out of the pack and not just survive, but dominate? This was the new wall our friend Alex had hit. He was feeling confident, he had clear goals, and he understood his customers' emotional needs. But he was selling electrical supplies. There were 10 other companies in his city selling the exact same products from the exact same manufacturers. It was a sea of sameness. He went to Sarah, feeling dejected.
How can I find my customer's flowering cherry tree when my product is identical to everyone else's? There's nothing special about what I sell. I'm just a commodity. Sarah didn't offer sympathy. Instead, she offered a challenge. Alex, if your product isn't special, then you have to be. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It's time you started using it to be creative. Creative? Alex scoffed. I'm a salesperson, not an artist. Creativity isn't about painting, Sarah corrected him. Creativity is simply improvement. It's about looking at the same situation as everyone else and seeing a different solution. It's about finding an edge. And right now, your edge isn't in your product. It's in your strategy. She grabbed a napkin and drew 4 boxes. This, she said, is how you stop being a commodity and start being a champion. The first box is specialization. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. Who is the one type of customer that can benefit the most from what you do? Is it small contractors, large industrial firms? Focus your energy. Become the known expert for that one group. The second box is differentiation. This is your unique selling proposition. Since your product is the same, what makes buying from you different? Is it your personal service? Your reliability? Your deep understanding of their business? Maybe your competitive advantage is simply you, your personality, your relationship. The third box is segmentation. Now that you know who you specialize in and what makes you different, your job is to identify every single one of those perfect customers in the market. Create a picture of your ideal client, their size, their challenges, their goals. Segment the entire market until you have a crystal clear list of who you should be talking to. And the final, most important box, Sarah said, tapping it with her pen, is concentration. This is where you fish for whales, not minnows. You will now focus all of your time, all of your energy on that small segment of the market that represents the biggest possible opportunity. One big sale can be worth more than 100 small ones. Alex was starting to see. He wasn't just a salesperson anymore. He was a strategist. But Sarah wasn't done. She told him about a powerful exercise called the 20 idea method. She said every morning, take a blank sheet of paper. At the top, write down your biggest challenge as a question. For you, it might be, how can I double my sales in this commodity market in the next 12 months? Then force yourself to write down 20 answers to that question. The first 5 will be easy. The next 5 will be hard. The last 10 will feel like pulling teeth. But somewhere in those last few answers, you will find your breakthrough idea. An idea that's just 10% new can be enough to make you a millionaire. Alex went home that night and tried it. He wrote, how can I double my sales? His first few answers were obvious. Make more calls, work harder. But he pushed on. Offer 24-hour emergency delivery. Create a newsletter for contractors with safety tips. Host a free breakfast seminar on new building codes. Then, on number 18, it hit him. An idea so simple yet so powerful. His competitors just sold supplies. They were order takers. What if he became a consultant? What if he offered to do a free inventory and efficiency audit for his clients, showing them how to save money by not overstocking and having the right supplies on hand just when they needed them? His unique advantage wouldn't be his product. It would be his service, his expertise.
He would stop selling supplies and start selling profitability. That's the essence of creative selling. It's the art of looking at a world of sameness and using your mind to invent a difference. It's about transforming yourself from a salesperson who sells things into a trusted partner who provides solutions. When you do that, you no longer have any competition. You can have the best product in the world. You can have the most brilliant strategy. But none of it matters if you can't get in front of the right people. This is the great wall of selling, prospecting. It's the part that causes more stress, more frustration, and more people to quit the profession than anything else. And it's the wall that Alex slammed into next.
His new strategy was great. He was going to be a consultant, not just a supplier. But when he called prospects, he got the same cold, immediate rejections. Not interested, we're all set, don't have time. The fear was creeping back in. He found Sarah in the break room. I have a great new plan, he said, but the gatekeepers won't even let me through the door. How do you get them to listen? Sarah took a sip of her coffee. Alex, what are you selling on the phone? My new consulting service? My free audit? Wrong, she said, cutting him off. That's your first mistake. On the first call, you never sell the product. You sell the appointment. Nothing more. She explained that every prospect you call is busy, preoccupied, and thinking about 100 other things. Their mind is a fortress, and his job is to find the one key that unlocks the gate for just 30 seconds. Your first words, she said, need to be like a brick through a plate glass window. You have to break their preoccupation instantly. And you don't do it by talking about your product. You do it by talking about the result of your product. She gave him a script, a formula. When you get the decision maker on the phone, you say this: Mr. Prospect, my name is Alex. I was wondering if you would be interested in a proven method that could increase your project profitability by 15% or more in the next 6 months. Alex looked at her, the wheels turning in his head. He wasn't talking about electrical supplies. He wasn't talking about an audit. He was talking about the one thing every contractor wants: more profit. They will almost always respond with, "Really? How do you do that?" And your answer is your golden ticket. That's exactly why I'm calling. I have something to show you. I just need 10 minutes of your time, and you can judge for yourself if it makes sense. Would Tuesday afternoon work, or is Thursday morning better? But what if they say they're not interested? Alex asked. That's just a knee-jerk reaction, Sarah said. You roll with it. You say, that's perfectly fine. Most of the best contractors in the city felt the same way when I first called. But now they've become our most profitable clients, and they recommend us to their friends. She explained the power of social proof. Hearing that their peers, people just like them, are already benefiting creates an irresistible curiosity. It neutralizes their resistance. And what if they ask me to just send something in the mail? Never mail it, Sarah warned. The mail is where deals go to die. You say, I'd be happy to, but the material doesn't make much sense without a brief explanation. Why don't I just drop it off in person on Tuesday? I'll be in your area anyway. It will only take a moment. The final piece of the puzzle, she explained, was mental preparation. Before every single call, Alex needed to do 2 things. First, he had to stand up. Standing up changes your physiology, making your voice stronger and more confident. Second, he had to smile. A smile can literally be heard through the phone, and it projects warmth and sincerity. Alex went back to his desk, but this time he didn't sit down. He stood up. He looked at his list of prospects, he took a deep breath, put a smile on his face, and dialed. Mr. Prospect, my name is Alex. I was wondering if you would be interested in a proven method that could increase your project profitability by 15% or more in the next 6 months. There was a pause on the other end. Then the magic words. Really? How do you do that? Alex had done it. He hadn't sold a product. He hadn't sold a service. He had sold a 10-minute meeting. He had gotten past the gatekeeper. That is the secret to getting more appointments. It's not about being pushy. It's about being professional. It's about a precise, planned approach that respects the prospect's time while focusing relentlessly on the one thing they care about, the result. Master this, and you'll never be short of people to talk to again. You're finally in. You used the perfect script, you got past the gatekeeper, and you're now sitting face to face with your ideal prospect. The hard part is over, right? But then you feel it, a strange tension in the air. The prospect is leaning back, arms folded, a polite but skeptical look on their face. You feel like you're trying to sell through a wall of invisible glass. This is the exact situation Alex found himself in. He was getting the appointments, but the meetings themselves felt stiff and unnatural. He'd walk in, launch into his well-rehearsed presentation, but the prospect remained distant, guarded. The connection just wasn't happening. Frustrated, he caught up with Sarah. "I'm in the room," he said, "but I feel like I'm losing the sale before I even open my mouth. It's like the prospect has already decided they're not going to buy." She nodded knowingly. "Alex," she said, "that's because the sale doesn't begin when you start talking about your product. It begins the moment they see you. You're forgetting about the most powerful, invisible force in the room, the power of suggestion." She explained that human beings are like tuning forks. We subconsciously vibrate at the same frequency as the people and environments around us. Every single thing about you, from the shine on your shoes to the tone of your voice, is sending a powerful, unspoken message. Think about your last meeting. Were you sitting across a big, imposing desk from the prospect? "Yeah," Alex replied. That desk wasn't just a piece of furniture. It was a barrier. It suggested separation, authority on their side, and subordination on yours. It silently said, "We are on opposite teams." Your first goal, she continued, is to suggest partnership. Ask them, "Would it be all right if we sat over at that table so I can show you this more easily?" When you sit next to them, side by side, you are no longer an adversary. You are a collaborator. You're on the same team. Then she looked him up and down. Your appearance is the cover of the book. Before you say a word, they've already formed a 95% impression of you, your company, and your product, just based on how you're dressed. When you dress like a top professional, you subconsciously suggest that you represent a top company and sell a top product. Their sales resistance starts to melt before you even say hello. Sarah told Alex that the most successful people master the art of non-verbal suggestion. They walk with purpose. Their posture is confident. They give a firm, full-web handshake that communicates trust and character. They sit erect and lean slightly forward, which non-verbally screams, "What you have to say is important to me." And look at your own desk, Alex. Is it cluttered? Alex admitted it was. A cluttered desk suggests a cluttered mind. It suggests disorganization and incompetence. How can a prospect trust you with their business if it looks like you can't even manage your own paperwork? People who work from a clean desk are twice as productive and project an aura of calm control. Every one of these details, she explained, seems small on its own, but together they create a powerful halo effect. When you present yourself as a calm, confident, organized professional, the prospect unconsciously assumes that everything you offer is of the same high quality. You're building a fortress of trust, brick by invisible brick. The most critical suggestion of all, however, is friendship. Every prospect is silently asking, "Do you care about me?" Your warm smile, your attentive listening, your genuine interest in them as a person, these things shout yes louder than any words you could ever say. Alex finally got it. He had been so focused on what to say that he'd completely ignored how he needed to be. He had been treating the sale like a debate when he should have been treating it like a consultation between two trusted colleagues.
From that day on, his preparation changed. He didn't just rehearse his script, he rehearsed his presence. He laid out his best suit the night before, he stood in front of the mirror and practiced his smile and posture. In meetings, he made it his mission to break down barriers, to sit side by side, and to listen with an intensity that made the prospect feel like the most important person in the world. He stopped being a salesperson presenting a product and became a professional creating an experience of trust, competence, and friendship. And the invisible wall of glass didn't just crack, it shattered. That is the power of suggestion. It's the understanding that everything counts, nothing is neutral. Every detail either moves you closer to the sale or pushes you further away. Master this invisible art, and you'll find that customers won't just buy from you, they'll be delighted to do it. This is the moment of truth. You've mastered your inner game, you've set your goals, and you've created an environment of trust. Now, it's time to actually make the sale. For many, this is the most nerve-wracking part, the point where you have to ask for the order. But what if the close wasn't a single high-pressure moment, but a natural, logical conclusion to a conversation you've been leading all along? This is the final hurdle Alex had to overcome. He was getting appointments and building rapport, but he was still hesitant to ask for the sale. The fear of that final no was still there, lurking in the background. He went to Sarah, this time with a specific problem. "The meetings are going great," he said, "but at the end, I just don't know how to transition into the close. I feel like I'm going to sound pushy, so I back off. Then they say, 'Let me think about it,' and the deal is lost." Sarah smiled. "Alex, you're making the classic mistake. You think the sale happens at the end. The sale happens at the beginning. You need to frame the entire conversation from the very first minute." She introduced him to a powerful technique called the approach close. When you sit down with a prospect, the first thing you say is, "Mr. Prospect, thank you for your time. Please relax. I'm not here to sell you anything right now. My only purpose is to show you why so many other contractors have chosen our services. All I ask is that you look at what I have to show you with an open mind, and then tell me at the end of our conversation, honestly, whether or not this makes sense for your business. Is that fair?" Alex's eyes widened. He whispered, "That's brilliant." "It's a fair exchange," Sarah said. "You promise not to pressure them, and in return, they promise to give you a straight answer, a yes or a no. You've just eliminated the 'I'll think about it' before the presentation even starts." She then explained how to build the presentation itself, not as a monologue, but as a series of logical steps and small agreements. You don't just dump a list of features on them, you use a method called show, tell, and ask questions. For every single benefit, you show them an example, you tell them how it works, and then you immediately ask a question to get their feedback. She gave him an example. Instead of saying, "Our online ordering system is available 24/7, you would say, "Let me show you our online portal." Show. It allows you to order supplies anytime, day or night, right from your phone. Tell. Would having that kind of access be a significant improvement for you when you're on a job site late at night? Ask. This, she explained, is using a trial close. Each yes is a small step up a ladder. It keeps the prospect engaged and confirms you're on the right track. If they say no, it's not a rejection of the whole deal, just valuable feedback on that one point. You can then pivot to a benefit that is important to them. "Remember the flowering cherry tree?" Sarah asked. "The trial closes are how you find it. You're testing for that spark of emotion. When you hit on a benefit and the prospect's eyes light up, when they lean forward and say, 'Wow, that's great. Tell me more about that.' That's your hot button. You don't need to finish the rest of your presentation. You found what they truly want. Now you focus all your energy on that one point." Alex was starting to see the sale as a dance, not a battle.
It was a process of discovery, leading the customer to their own conclusion that buying was the smart thing to do. And when you've built your case logically and you found their emotional hot button, the final close is easy. You don't even have to ask, do you want to buy it? Instead, you use the talking past the sale close. You start talking as if they've already made the decision. She gave him an example. You would say, you are going to love the time you save with this system. When we get you set up next week, your foreman will be able to place their orders in 5 minutes instead of 30. The biggest challenge will be deciding what they'll do with all their extra time.
By painting a vivid, emotional picture of them already enjoying the benefits, you make the decision feel natural and inevitable. You're not closing them, you're simply helping them step into the future they've already admitted they want. Alex went into his next meeting a completely changed man. He wasn't there to pitch, he was there to guide. He started with the approach close, securing a promise for a clear decision. He used trial closes to find the prospect's true hot button, which turned out to be the frustration of running out of a key material mid-project. He focused everything on his 24-hour delivery guarantee. At the end, he didn't ask for the sale. He simply said, "When we get your account set up, the next time you're in a jam on a Friday afternoon, you'll be able to have what you need on site Saturday morning. How soon would you like to have that peace of mind?" The prospect didn't hesitate. "How about we start on Monday?" Making the sale isn't a single dramatic act. It's a structured, professional process of leading a prospect from skepticism to trust, and from interest to ownership, one logical and emotional step at a time. Master this process, and the close will no longer be a source of fear, but the simple, satisfying conclusion of a job well done. We've been following Alex's journey from a struggling, frustrated salesperson to someone who understands the inner game, sets clear goals, and knows how to find his customers' emotional drivers. He's made it into the top 20%. He's doing well. But doing well isn't the final destination. Alex is ambitious. He sees Sarah, his mentor, consistently operating at the pinnacle, the top 5%. He wants what she has, not just high income, but mastery, respect, and effortless consistency. He meets Sarah for one last coffee. "Sarah," he says, "I've applied everything you've taught me. My sales are up, my confidence is high, but how do I make it last? How do I get from good to great and stay there?" Sarah smiled. "I was waiting for you to ask that, Alex. Getting into the game is one thing, mastering it is another. Success isn't an accident. It's predictable. It leaves tracks. There are 10 keys, 10 commitments that separate the average from the exceptional. If you live by these, you won't just reach the top, you'll build a fortress there." She leaned in and started to share the blueprint for a stellar career. The first key is fundamental. Do what you love to do. You can't fake passion for long. When you love selling, when you love your product and helping customers, committing to excellence isn't a chore, it's a calling. Decide today to become one of the very best in your field. Second, decide exactly what you want. We talked about goal setting, but it's not a one-time thing. It's a daily habit. Write your goals down. Make a plan. Work on it every day. Clarity is power. Third, back your goals with unstoppable persistence. Success in sales isn't about avoiding setbacks. It's about how high you bounce after you fall. Your persistence is the true measure of your belief in yourself. Resolve in advance that you will never, ever give up. Alex was nodding, taking mental notes. Sarah continued. Key number 4 is crucial. Commit to lifelong learning. Your mind is the only asset you own that can appreciate in value. Everything else depreciates. If you stop learning, you start falling behind. Read every day. Listen to audio programs in your car. Become a perpetual student of your craft. Fifth, use your time well. Your time is literally all you have to sell. Stop confusing activity with achievement. Every day, ask yourself, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? Then focus only on that until it's done. Sixth, Sarah said, follow the leaders. Birds of a feather flock together.
If you want to fly with the eagles, stop scratching with the turkeys. Find the top people in your field and do what they do. Read what they read. Ask for their advice. Your reference group determines your future. Then Sarah touched on the core of a lasting career. Key number 7. Character is everything. In sales, trust is the only currency that matters. Be trustworthy. Always tell the truth, not just to others, but to yourself. Face reality as it is, not as you wish it were. Guard your integrity like it's your most prized possession. 8th, unlock your inborn creativity. You are a genius, Alex. Everyone is in their own unique area. Selling is your area. Use the 20 idea method we talked about. Constantly look for better, faster, smarter ways to solve your customers' problems. 9th, practice the golden rule. Treat every customer exactly how you would want to be treated if you were the buyer. Empathy and genuine care are the foundation of every long-term relationship. And finally, she shared the key that tied everything together: the great amplifier. Key number 10, pay the price of success. Work hard. There are no shortcuts. The top salespeople aren't necessarily smarter, they just work harder. She used the analogy of an airplane taking off. When a plane is on the runway, it needs 100% throttle to reach takeoff speed. If the pilot only gives it 80% or 90%, the plane will never leave the ground. It will just crash at the end of the runway. Most salespeople operate at 80%. They work, but they hold back. They never reach takeoff velocity. You have to start a little earlier, work a little harder, and stay a little later. Give your career 100% throttle until you break free of the gravity of mediocrity. Once you're cruising at altitude, once you're in the top 10%, then, and only then, can you ease back. Alex looked at the list of 10 keys. It wasn't about complicated techniques. It was about fundamental choices, commitment, discipline, integrity, hard work. He realized that success wasn't a destination he'd reached. It was a path he had to walk every single day. Sarah hadn't just taught him how to sell, she had taught him how to succeed. Your future in selling is unlimited. By mastering the psychology of selling, from the inner game to the outer strategies, and anchoring it all with these 10 timeless principles, you have the power to achieve anything you desire. The potential is already inside you. Now, it's time to commit, go full throttle, and reach for the stars.
All right, now you've listened to a lot. You've learned the inner game of selling, the mindset shifts, the strategies, the exact steps to transform how you sell. But let me tell you something important. Just listening isn't enough. You will only truly internalize these lessons when you apply them. That's why I've created a set of powerful practice exercises based on everything you've just learned. In the description below, you'll find 2 important links. One is a summary document that outlines all the key takeaways from this video. Go through it carefully so the core ideas stay fresh in your mind. And the second is a link to the exercise sheet, your chance to do the real work. These questions are designed to challenge your thinking, test your understanding, and lock these principles into your long-term memory. So please, take this seriously. Do every question honestly with a pen and notebook. I promise if you do that, you won't just remember what you heard here, you will live it. I'm confident this can change your perspective, not just on sales, but on how you approach your goals, your habits, and your future. And if this masterclass brought you value, then consider hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs it. Until next time, keep taking action, and remember, the inner game is the only game that truly matters.